in terms of child development strategies for equitable access, and especially for children with disability and those are hard to reach. And we talked about investing in play. It's very important, putting resources, putting spaces, putting the human resource that is required, and ensuring that, the areas are protected and they're not being grabbed by other people who have different interests. And we've talked about, government also really need to help us to look at inclusive and safe play spaces. And of course, leadership and governance is very key. Uh, right from the governors, the presidency, because their voice matter and prioritizing play really makes a big difference when it comes from leadership. And then for communities, we are saying that, communities need to provide safe, inclusive, and accessible spaces like playgrounds and parks for essential child play and development. We need to
Mama,
ensure
no,
that we
I
have
think
cultural
I think it's
enrichment through
mostly old.
play,
It's not like you're trying to
local
get them
games,
in real
music,
life.
storytelling. Those
It's not
days
like
when we
it
had
doesn't
our
happen like that.
grandmothers,
It's
people
a testing
gather
it
around their
doesn't.
grandmothers, and hear stories. It's really, or even someone from the community who's very good in telling stories. You know, we need to continue to promote, this community opportunities where children come together and, from a community, they can interact. They can bring everybody, bring in inclusivity, even those who are different from them. It's the community that can promote that and ensure that, there's inclusivity, there is respect for all people that are in the community. And then also for social cohesion and well-being, many times we have used also the community space to really promote peace. Even as people come together for, whether it's music, whether it's drama, whether it's play, whether it's football, whether it is, singing, and also, really very important, for the collective well-being within communities. And I think there's something even when you look about urbanization. Sometimes I know in the communities, at the rural communities, it's much better. We even have sometimes football and communities, the villages come out to watch. But sometimes we are in the city, especially within our estates, it's something that also we need to promote. How we come together, bringing out children, to sit with them in the sand pit or in a water pit and just doing activities with them, even within a particular estate. Those are things that we can do. And of course, even at the school level, it's very important to really promote safe spaces. For families, families, of course, they're the first children's partners and strongest protectors of the right to play. Play begins at home, and it builds strong bond. It supports holistic development and provides safety and healing. This picture, I like it. It was, you can see it's a mother with a child, and they're just using the locally available resources, the cups or the plastic containers, just, and you can see how the child looks so keen and the mother looks so keen. So this is it's already promoting that bond together. It's providing, even the child feels, protected. And we know that also it stimulates the brain to, as it develops and expands, the neurons expand. So it's very important when it comes from home. And again, we are saying we don't have to use expensive resources. Whatever we have at the family level, it is very useful and it is very helpful. Again, we are saying that families need to make time. We have to be intentional, both at the rural and urban. I think for us in Kenya, we see what is happening in our schools, the banning of schools. And when you think about it, sometimes we are hearing all kind of discussions. Why could this be happening? And some are saying we need to look back home. Our parents there, our parents are available for their children. And what we know from early childhood development, it starts early, boarding of children with parents, spending time together. It has to be intentional. We have to start it when children are young, and we have to make time for it. And when we make time for play, even with our children, it's built that bond, that, connection. So it's beyond, and it goes on even when children are in their teenage and beyond. So, and then for families, we need to create safe and inclusive spaces. Yes, what is very important is that we must ensure the space is safe. Children are protected from fire, from sharp objects, even from violence, from home. It's part of play, and then provided also with the resources. And also we must ensure that, children are not just, especially the older ones, we are not just giving them, excessive shows that they don't have time for play. Or now we have the smartphones, we have the screens. Again, we must protect the children from screen time, because screen time, as much as they are games, that interaction one with another and with concrete objects makes a big difference. And then we must encourage creativity and imagination, and not just structured. Also just let have children have free play, whatever they want to do, because it's also very important for creativity and imagination. That as said, we are not ignorant that there are challenges that are leading to decline of play globally. And this is because of unsafe or limited public spaces. I think we have mentioned that. Urbanization is a big limit. And even with urbanization also, in terms of safety, there's a big challenge, especially, for example, if we give examples of informal settlement. Yes, there could be space, but maybe the environment is not conducive. There's sewage outside everywhere, which is not good for children. Sometimes the air is not good. And then, of course, crisis and humanitarian settings. For those of you or of us who have worked in humanitarian settings, the spaces are congested, the resources are few. And imagine children are having, coming from a traumatic experience. If they don't have something to help them overcome that, if they are playing with other children, they get happy, they forget maybe the pain, they forget where they're coming from, and they gain resilience to go on. Play makes someone feel good about themselves. They want to go on. Even for us adults, when you go for a jog, when you go for a walk and you come back, you always feel positive thoughts about yourself. And it's the same for children. Again, another big challenge we have is lack of place materials, of equipment. Poverty is a big issue. Conflict, because there's conflict, there's fear of even going out, there's fear of interaction, and safe spaces, and of course academic pressure. And that is one thing our government, and especially in Kenya with the CBC, we are trying to overcome. That it is not just about studies, that when children come on holiday, even before they open, parents are already sending them back for tuition. Well, they should use the opportunity to do other things, and again to interact with each other, and through games, through singing, through music, through drama, through play, and doing all kind of activities. Look at these children. These are children from Kakuma, and this organization, we worked with them. They used to go out and collect children who are, they are neglected. They're not under any supervision at home. They are just in the compound. So they would sing, and they would bring them together, and they start, look at how keen they are. They bring together and they start doing, creative activities. So again,
Ms.
globally, yes.
In the interest of time, can I invite you to share your final thoughts?
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes.
Great.
So I think I've already covered that on globally, also the challenges of play spaces, and towards my end, and we are just calling for action, all of us, that we need to scale up parenting and caregiver support programs that promote play. We need to expand access to pre-primary and learning through play, and we need to ensure safe, inclusive, and well-maintained play environments for all children. So my last quote is, play is not a luxury, it's a fundamental right and a cornerstone of healthy childhood, learning, and well-being. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I wish all of us a very wonderful International Day of Play. Let's try and go out today and do something with a child. Thank you, and back to you, Teresa.
Thank you so much, Ms. Agnes, for those powerful, powerful remarks, and for giving us a very wonderful quote that play is not a luxury, it is the cornerstone for a healthy childhood. If you're tweeting, if you're engaging on social media, that's something you'd want to put out there. That play is not a luxury, it is a cornerstone for healthy childhood. Thank you so much. Let's engage in the chat box. Please share what you're learning, any insights you're picking up from the presentation we have just had. And if you're also engaging on social media, please let us know and we will be happy to engage with you on that platform. The webinar is also being streamed live on YouTube. You can always catch the session afterwards if you need reminders from this conversation. I am going to move on swiftly and welcome our next speaker. And while I do so, I would like to encourage you to prepare for a live showcase, which will be coming up after our next speaker. The showcase is to remind us why we're here today. It's to remind us about children and their right to play. Our next speaker is Mr. Evans Moss Ola, joining us from the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD. Evans is the Principal Research Monitoring and Evaluation Officer at KICD. He is an education researcher with a strong interest in curriculum implementation and in early childhood education. He's passionate about advocating for play-based public policy. And today he will be speaking to us about play and the CBE curriculum. Welcome, Evans Moss Ola. The floor is yours. Please send reactions, celebrations as Mr. Ola speaks to us.
Okay, thank you very much, Teresa. I'd also like to be sharing my screen. I hope that is possible.
Lawrence, please enable that. Thank you.
Okay, read there. Yes.
Minutes in the interest of time. Thank you.
No problem, Teresa. To the Executive Director of Early Start Africa, Mr. Leonard, and all the organizers of this International Day of Play webinar, thank you for having us and also for extending an invitation to the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. This is indeed a gesture of our CEO's commitment to initiatives like this that support the nurturing of every learner's potential. Now, very quickly, building on the foundation that has been laid by Agnes, I'd like to give our conversation a curriculum lens so that we understand why play is important as a pathway to realizing the competency-based education. Now, looking at the two components of curriculum implementation and child development as a totality, in the education space, we continuously say that we need to ensure holistic development of children. And we'll be talking about, the social development, emotional development, the physical development of children. And indeed, as they are playing, they develop their language and even experience some cognitive development, because so much of cognitive processes are normally experienced when children play. But again, you'll realize that even with these important components of play, there is still a problem with access to free, safe, and unstructured play, which continues to shrink, just as Agnes has rightfully mentioned. When you go into the urban spaces, when you look even at the construction of schools and even the already established ones, when they continue to bring up new buildings, they continuously compromise the play spaces that are available for children. But what we are saying is that it is very critical that we keep ensuring that they play, because when children are playing, they're not doing nothing. They engage in a lot of processes, they engage in a lot of thinking, in a lot of communication, and all these other forms of development that we are mentioning. Now, when you look at the competency-based education, Agnes mentioned that academic pressure was a challenge for the longest time, but in CBE, we're trying to have that shift from that kind of a pressure to a situation whereby children are allowed to develop their competencies, their values, and even practical learning dispositions. And play plays a very critical role in this, making this kind of a shift visible, right? You will see that through play, because from a curriculum perspective, we are interested in knowing how does the instructional approach look like? It is learner-centered, because when you allow them to play, they're always on their own. But again, remember, as they are playing, there are two things that can be involved. It can either be free play, it can either be guided play. When we allow them to freely play, because that is also part of what we have in the curriculum, it is when now these children initiate their own play and even direct the kind of activities that go on there. But when the teacher has an outcome in the mind, then it needs to be guided play. We understand that play is a very, social process where children are allowed to interact with the teachers, their peers, and even instructional materials that are in their spaces. So it is a very social process. And then the second one is that it is competency-based. When it is guided, the adult teacher will be having an end goal. There's something that the teacher wants to achieve. For example, if I allow children to play around with stones, make patterns with bottle tops here and there, the end goal could be that I want them to develop some certain numeracy skills, but they're doing this through a playful experience. Then it is experiential. When children are engaged in play activities that connects to concepts in real life situations and even the family context, you will take a very simple example of role play. Go into any space where children are doing a role play and look at the kind of things they're trying to imitate. It will always be something around the spaces that they're familiar with. So that is a very key component of the curriculum, which play can easily help us to achieve. The other one is that it is inclusive. Learners are very different in the way they learn, in the interests that they develop in the learning process. And therefore, once we understand that play allows them to come in their own different perspectives and in their own different outfits to still achieve the outcomes of the learning process, then we will start seeing play not just as a break from learning, but as a very important curriculum, as a very important curriculum delivery strategy. Now, when we talk of policy, Agnes mentioned policy, and we come back to practice. What connects these two things is the curriculum design. You go into any school, into any classroom, and you'll want to ask yourself, what is a curriculum design? Because you see, when you look at the basic education curriculum framework, which we have, it is actually the document that helps us to actualize the curriculum reforms that are being experienced in all parts of the country. But what happens is that needs to translate into practice. So in most cases, we use this curriculum design, which is indeed the practical guide, and it is subject specific. We understand in the education space that subjects are important and they're actually being used as the vehicles through which the core competencies that have been outlined in the framework are achieved. So it means if you don't have a subject in the education space, then it becomes difficult for you to even start thinking about what outcomes you want to achieve. But when you go into the curriculum design itself, you'll be able to understand the different things it has. That number one, it guides the learning expectations. It will align through the specific learning outcomes what the learners are expected to know, because normally we have knowledge-based outcomes. You'll see into it that there is something around skill development, because we want to see that they're able to do even after they have known a given concept. And lastly, that they're able to demonstrate that they have known, which is in most cases realized through the affective class. It also organizes the learning content. It is important because learning content must move from the simple to complex, from known to unknown, and it must be very clear what the teacher intends to achieve. So that is what the curriculum design, helps us with. It supports classroom delivery. When you look at the curriculum design, so these are the kind of learning experiences that the teacher is supposed to be taking advantage of and providing unto learners so that they are able to realize the outcomes of that particular content area, and how much to be able to achieve this through play. And finally, we say it guides assessment because it is important that the teacher must be confident that the observable behaviors in the particular play can help him or her do what? Be able to assess that there is growth going on. So that is what this curriculum design helps us with. At the primary level, play is not optional. Play is not optional whatsoever. It is central to how our young reading. The substance is about phonic awareness. We have our specific learning objectives, But most importantly, you will see that in the suggested learning experiences, there is need that children are allowed to play in groups of letter sound games like a fishing game, and that they're also allowed to engage in chanting in groups, do some rhymes that are related to the learner, to the learner letter sounds and mastery. So this is just an example of some of the learning experiences and some of the statements that run through all the curriculum design in all the 5 learning areas that are experienced in pre-primary level. Then play and the CBE pedagogical approaches, it is important to understand that there are instructional approaches that are being championed in the CBE. Now, play supports this by giving learners meaningful opportunities to be able to explore, practice, and even demonstrate competencies. Number one, we are saying there's an instructional approach that we call experiential learning. Now, children in this case, they learn by doing. For example, if they're counting bottle tops and building with blocks and role playing or even sorting objects, yes.
I am going to invite you to summarize for us and share some of your final thoughts.
Okay, no problem. So just quickly to go through these approaches, we have the inquiry-based, the collaborative, and finally the differentiated and inclusive learning approach, because we understand that every children learns differently, but play has a way of enabling all of them to, bring out their abilities and engage in the learning process. Now, as we move towards the concept of contextual and inclusive play, we had mentioned that when Agnes mentioned children will be going back home, talking to their grandmothers, etc., it is just to understand that different learners in different spaces learn differently, but play brings them together. I, for example, was able to do a study on scaffolding indigenous play pedagogy, and we were looking at teacher competence in rural parts of Kenya. We will see that teachers have demonstrated an awareness and a readiness to be using play, but still they're having challenges in their preparation and the reflective practices that they engage in as they are trying to use play in the classroom. So that clearly continues to tell us that there's need to support our teachers who are supposed to be promoting guided play in the school spaces so that we help our children. As I finish, we look at the different players in this space and we know that they have roles to play. Teachers, for example, will need to be very intentional about creating play experiences in the school. Schools themselves must ensure that the spaces are enough, that the play experiences they provide are inclusive, etc. See, the CBE does not leave out parents. They're part of the whole process, so that when what we do in school needs to be extended back home. It cannot be possible that schools are working so hard to ensure play thrives, and when they go back into the home areas, then they're not given any opportunity. Yeah. And lastly, as policy actors, we continue to carry out research to show that play is indeed integral in the learning process. But what we are saying then is that once we have provided the evidence, it is important that the policy actors and policymakers continue to ensure that it moves from paper into action so that our children thrive. Otherwise, in my closing message, just to mention and emphasize that protecting play is not to protect. To protect play is to protect learning, creativity, well-being, and childhood in totality. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much, Evans, for that wonderful, wonderful presentation and helping us understand how play fits within the CBE curriculum that we're having. A lot of celebrations and reactions from our audience. Please keep those coming in. Please keep your emojis and reactions coming in. I am taking note that the CBE curriculum is shifting focus from simply covering content to developing competencies and practical learning dispositions. As such, there is an endeavor to treat play as a curriculum development strategy and not a break from learning. That's the tweet for the day: to treat play as a curriculum development strategy and not a break from learning. Thank you so much for that. As our educators in Nakuru, our educators at the International Child Resource Institute and Nyota Care Innovations are preparing for the showcase that is coming on up in the next few seconds, I want us to use the chat box to share something that we have learned from our two speakers, or just to let us know that you are listening. You can open the chat box and type in "I am listening" so that we know that you are with us. Our teachers and educators kindly prepare for the showcase as we hear some comments from our audience. Remember, today is the International Day of Play, and it is important that we include a program in our segment that showcases live and structured play, even as we continue to advocate for play as an essential component of child development. So we are going over to Nakuru, where teacher Joanne Cheseto is going to take us through the amazing work that they're doing over there and show us what the children are doing. Welcome, teacher Joanne. Great. We cannot hear you very well. Perhaps move closer.
Okay, sorry. This
Great.
is Teacher Joanne. Teacher Joanne, Alison Nakuru ECD Center, where we have 3 classes here, playgroup, PP1 and PP2. Today we have 3 activities that we are going to perform to you. Number 1 activity, where the learners can learn by doing themselves. And number 2, promote physical development as they jump in and out of the tile. And number 3, help learners to identify different colors, social skills as they cooperate through the game. Thank you so much. We are moving to show you the activities. Learners are outside here. I hope you enjoy it.
Red, blue, red, blue, blue, red, red, blue, blue, red, blue, red, red, blue, blue, red, red.
That is all
Thank you
from our side.
so much. Lovely scenes over there. Thank you to the team in Nakuru for keeping such a lively environment. We are going over to Zawadi Ali Years from the International Child Resource Institute. Anne Rubier, kindly unmute and share with us the amazing work that you're doing over there.
Education Center. In our 2 programs, we encourage play. As we are aware, play allows children to explore, question, experiment, and test. Please allow me to move into where the children are in a few minutes. I'll be moving outside just to show you a quick play. And thank you. That is good from our end.
Thank you so much, Anne, for that lively showcase. And for our last showcase today, we are heading over to Nyota Care Innovations, where we are joined by Janet Mwitiki, who will be sharing with us about their work, and teacher Alice, who will be presenting to us the showcase. Over to you, Janet. Janet?
Yes, Teresa, I can hear you very well.
Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, my name is Janet Mwitiki. My name is Janet Mwitiki. I am the co-director of Nyota Care Innovations. In Nyota Care, we believe on the power of play as a children's right, but not a privilege. In Nyota Care, we have a modern ECD learning center where I am currently in the classroom, and we also support proprietors or caregivers who are running child care centers for children below 4 years. In both and Sassy, play group, and she will be taking us to the inside the classroom, because we believe play does not necessarily need to take place outside the ground, but play can also take place inside the classroom to promote critical thinking, innovation, and creativity. And now I hand over to my colleague, Alice, who will be taking you into the classroom. Thank you. Over to Alice.
Good morning. My name is Alice Deuri, playgroup, Nyota Care playgroup teacher. Today we are happy to join as we in the internal day play. In our school, we involve both regular learners and special needs to help them in gaining their communication, integrity, and critical thinking and problem solving. Them in outdoor activities, literacy activities, and language activities. And this one helps them in all the activities I've done to help our children. Thank you so much. Happy to be with you.
Thank you so much, Teacher Alice, and thank you, Janet. Thank you for the videos and for reminding us the beauty of play. To my lovely audience which has joined us today, how was the showcase? Did you get inspired seeing the children play? Do let us know in the chat box. I would love to see us engaging in the chat box. What are you learning? What are you seeing? Are you being inspired by the children playing? Please let us know. Type something, tell us something. I encourage all of you to sit tight. We still have some amazing conversations coming up and an exciting program that is going to be handled by Mtoto News International, the Students Press Action Network, SPAN, and Kutunga Design Academy and Innovation Lab. That will be the second segment of our program, and it's coming up after the amazing conversations we are going to have. In the work of advocating for the wholesome development of children, parents are very important stakeholders, and our next speaker is a parent at Early Start Africa's ECD Center in Nakuru, and she will speak to us about facilitating play at home and in the community. Welcome, Filet Mora.
Whereby my kid is a beautiful daughter. I, as a parent, I play a great role in play at home. So I'm presenting parents who play with their children at their homes. So there are a lot of different kind of games we play at our home. Mostly we play animal games. There's animal games whereby our children, mostly like my daughter, she even imitates about animal sounds. Those imitation of animal sounds, for me, I see it helps them. When an animal comes, when they are playing, example, a lion may come, and when it roars, a child can know what animal sounds tells our children when they imitate. There is another kind of play when we are at home, we play, like skipping ropes. For me, I skip a lot with my kid. When we skip, she really feels happy when we are together. As a parent, it is advisable that we play a lot with our children. There is a lot of games we really try to play with our children. So a lot of types of games, maybe singing and clapping, sing Sunday songs, we clap, it helps them in living. At least our children can know how to clap and how to sing. There is such kind of a game, there is this kind of a game of cooking. Sometimes our children feel that they are supposed to cook. There is this kind of a game of cooking. Our children like cooking, they imitate us as parents on how we cook. So we give them some things to cook. Sometimes we arrange some sauces, which they see us as plates, the stones, they see them as chicos when they play. So they really ask us questions like parents. So we have souvenirs, which are stones. We as parents, we give them some ideas to look for sand, which acts like anger, to cook the ugali. Then we advise them to look for leaves they collect at our compound to act like vegetables. So they make food. So as parents, we really do a lot with our children at our homes. So that games helps them play development. For example, the one who plays, there is a great difference because the one who plays a lot, when you see them, they're really active. It doesn't help only the children. We as parents, when we play with them, it helps us so much because it benefits us from the shared play. Parents younger when we play, our parents will look younger when we're strong. So my humble advice to other parents who see play as that game, please, my fellow parents, please always play with your children at homes We play and let us make time for our children. Don't let ourselves to be at work every time. When our children comes at our place saying, Mom, let us play, don't shut them. Just come close to our children, let us share with them, let us share time with them. For me, as a parent, I feel much humbled and I'm so much happy when I mingle with my children. The parents to stay present, that is my advice to parents, always stay present to your children because staying present to your children, it builds bond to you and your children. Thank you so much. And let us take contact with this day. We appreciate the role of play in learning in the society. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Violet, for reminding us to play with our children. Again, word of the day is play with your children. Thank you so much. We are going to move on swiftly in the interest of time to welcome our next speaker, who is Miss Vivian Adungo, a principal planner with Nairobi City County. Ms. Vivian specializes in development management through policy formulation and implementation for sustainable growth. She will share with us some unique perspectives on what planning with a child in mind looks like. Welcome, Vivian Adungo. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much for the introduction. Executive Director, Alice Start Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity as a planner. I work at Nairobi City County. So much has been said about children and play. And as an urban planner, I would like to start with our set act, the Urban Areas and Cities Act. The Urban Areas and Cities Act stipulates on how cities, municipalities, etc. are set. So for a city, for a place to be called a city, it must have a residence of over 500,000 residents. So you can, I would like to bring attention to the Nairobi's case. At the moment, you're talking about of about 6 million people. If you divide that with a set number of 500,000, then you realize how huge our city is and complex. And therefore, we get ourselves caught into issues of competing needs in terms of resources. So, and that's
Hello, is it my internet or did we lose Vivian?
I think I've lost Vivian.
Okay, Lawrence, could you please help get in touch with Vivian? As we work on that front, Lawrence, please help us get in touch with Vivian. I can pass through some of your comments in the chat box. Remember to keep engaging with us and to stay tuned for an amazing program we have that is being handled by Mtoto News International, and the Students Press Association Network. I see Ms. Ngonyo saying she's delighted to see children engage in play and in learning through play. Kudos to the team. Ombere says, how I wish I could reclaim those younger days. May they enjoy. Najma Rashid says, very moving to see children engaged and enjoying play. Bravo to those who are making this a reality. Liz acknowledges that she can see Violet and notes that Violet is a supportive parent. proud of Ali Start Africa Nakuru. Oscar mentions that he's excited to see how play fosters independence, deep concentration, and natural curiosity in children. Lawrence, is Vivian back?
Teresa, she's requesting if we can proceed with the next presenter as she works around connectivity.
Okay, that is okay on our part. So we still have amazing conversations lined up for you. Our next speaker is Miss Jennifer Kaberi, the founder and executive director at Mtoto News International. Miss Jennifer is a child development specialist, researcher, and champion for children's rights with over 20 years of experience. She champions children's participation, digital safety, and responsible technology use, leveraging artificial intelligence for play. Welcome, Jennifer Kaberi. The floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, this is Jennifer. If you can hear me, please, can I see thumbs up, emojis, like smile? Okay, but it was a playful thing. Please do go read about him. And I'm gonna skip this because what does play do? Okay. Sorry, something has happened here. My screen has just acted up. So, this is what is happening. So we are moving from physical to digital play, and in the physical play, there is pretend. I love what's his name? Forgotten his name. The guy who does 4 types of play. Okay, it's the same. It's voluntary. It's restricted. It's pretend. It's imagination. There's rules. And then we move to the digital world, and things are different. There's algorithms that define who you are, and they tell you how play should look like. There's data extraction, there's commercialization, there's networked, where you're playing, like for example, my son is a big Roblox and Minecraft. He's in Nairobi playing with someone in Djibouti or someone in Arizona. So there's that network, okay? And then there's AI mediated, especially now with a very high evolution of AI. So AI is defining what play should look like and changing the form. Like for example, you can have a play buddy who is not a human. It's a machine. It can be a toy. It can be your software, but it's something that has been defined. Okay. And my slides have stopped moving. Okay. So I'm gonna skip this because I think Agnes did justice to this. But please take note of General Comment 25. General Comment 25 is, it talks on children in the digital world. So what it says that whatever is in the UNCRC, whatever is in the Nation Conventions on the Rights of the Child, whatever is in the African Charter on the Rights of the Welfare of the Child should be applied in the digital world. So if we have right to play in the physical world, we should have right to play. So digital world should not limit play. It should actually support play. Okay, that's what General Comment 25 says, that we should apply whatever right the children have in the physical world, it should also apply in the digital world. Oh, sorry, God, my slides are just moving by themselves now. How does digital play work? It kind of works the same way as the physical world. There's agency where children choose themselves. They can be able, children act not as spectators. They choose and they explore. They say, I'm going to do Minecraft, I'm going to do Fortnite, I'm going to do Angry Birds, whatever. And there are rules. Most of these games have rules. So for example, you should not do, the same way we have physical rules for games, we have. And then there's narrative, there's a story that is building. Who do you want to be, and then there's reward, okay? And like physical play sometimes where we don't have rewards, digital games and digital play has rewards where you are rewarded for things that you have. For example, you get a star, you get Robux, or you get mind bucks. Depending on what game you're playing, you get rewarded. And of course, there's social. There's co-play, there's competition. And sometimes I hear my child screaming at their friend because they have done something and they're playing on game. Oh, go, move this. If you're a parent and you have had those things and you're wondering who is moving and where are we going, don't shoot me, don't kill me. And I think, who is killing who? Please put for me an emoji. I just want to know that I'm not alone thinking, oh, who is killing my son and he's seated on the chair, okay? So, and I'm sure most of us, and this is how right now the current generation of children are playing, okay? And then again, it has different types, okay? There's solo, where children are playing for themselves. They have an avatar they're playing with, or there's an AI right now, especially. There's companions on AI who play with our children. So children don't have to have friends. They play with others, okay? And then there are others who, there's a group that is play with other people, okay? Their friends, like for example, my child, I always give example with my children. My child has a church group friends, okay? And they say, okay, let's exchange Roblox accounts, and then they become friends and they play in that. So they become friends, and then now they create a network. So my friend brings his group of friends, and his friends brings, so they are like 100 children playing on this game, and they don't know each other. Okay, and then there's that game is just random. Okay, there's one that I play. Also, I'm a player. It's a snake game. You just sit there and you play. It just shows you a number one. You're growing there. You're going number one. Okay, the more snakes you eat, the more higher scoreboard you get. But it's on scoreboard. But you don't know who you're playing with. It's just a random game that you're playing with others. And how do these children play? They play on mobile. 91% of African children are playing on mobile. And then there's consoles, and then there's PC, that is computers, and then there's a growing trend of augmented reality and virtual reality, where children go online and they are put on goggles and they go and they get immersed, and there's AI companions. And then, and where do they play? At home, majority of them, using your phone, most of you, okay? In school, because of the competence, on the go, okay? In malls, when you take your children to malls, they always, can I go and play there? In esport venues. And then why I'm leaving gaming dens as the last one, because that's a huge one, and this is affecting a lot of children in the low-income communities, where they pay between 20 to 100 shillings to play a game, okay? And it's a digital game, and they will pay and they will go and play, and they get immersed in this game, and they spend money in there, okay? Is it exploitative, or is it are they supporting right to play? I want to know that from you in the chats. Is it exploitative, or are they supporting when they're charging 20 to 100 shillings? Okay, that is about 2 cents to $1. For those ones who are international joining this or watching this later. Oh, sorry. And then there is what now is being defined as phygital, okay? Where games have become physical. They are physical but digital at the same time, okay? Where the game encourages you to play like physical, like go jump 5 times. You go jump 5 times, but you have to record yourself playing, jumping that 5 times, or go take a picture of the grass, okay? And it will give you bonus points for that, okay? But also there's a way our physical games are being translated to digital games. For example, Bao. Everybody who has never, or maybe my generation, we played Bao, but probably the current generation, they don't know Bao. Why? Because they are playing Bao in the digital world, okay? Because there's a lot of animation and imitation from physical to digital games, because these are games that we are used to playing. Like, for example, FIFA, okay? For those people who play FIFA online, yay, and World Cup starts today. What happens? Today, FIFA released a game. Guess what? FIFA 2026 digital game. So you will be playing as an England, okay, another one as a Cameroon, but not in the US, but in your home, playing FIFA, okay? So they've tried to make physical game to be, so that because of that in connectivity, okay? And then there's a lot of learning games that make you physically play, okay? Sorry, I need to, there are different genres of games. There's action, shooting. This is, I don't like that, I don't support that. I've said sports like FIFA, okay? There's strategy games like Clash and Clans, okay? And then there's puzzle, where you puzzle, and a lot of my age mates do puzzling, okay? And then there's role playing, and this is, I'm gonna propose this is very serious, especially for you have 9 to 12-year-olds, because they try to be Batman, but the Batman, they are becoming a Batman online, okay? And they are really, and you can't convince them the way they are not Batman. And then there's Sandbox, there's Minecraft, where they are building stuff, they are creating stuff online, and they are always creating stuff, Roblox, Minecraft. And then there's people who are reading books. There are people who do a lot of narrative, like for example, there's Dora the Explorer online, where you're told, go from one point to another. And then there is, of course, educational ones, Ubongo Kids, Khan Academy. And then there's social creators for digital games. For example, Meta has games, TikTok has games, YouTube has just introduced games. So there's a lot of games that are going on online. And then again, this one, if anybody has, what is his name? I've forgotten. He's one of the best theorists. I've forgotten, I don't know what his name, but he has 5 types of play. What happens? There's cooperative, where you're working together. There's competitive. There's creativity, where you're creating together. There's exploratory, let's do this together. And there's narration. So these are the different mechanics of play in the digital world. What people do it for entertainment, for learning, for social, for creativity, for civic, for economics, to get some money, okay? So there are different types of play. And this is happening. AI mediated. This is an emerging types of digital, but like AI mediated, where the AI comes in. I think I've said that. And then there's cryptocurrency, where you're playing to get money. And then there's metaverse, where children go online and they're going to the AR and the VR, and children are playing in there. And then there's a augmented AR and VR. So we have to start thinking about that, this form of play, as people who are working in the ECD area and early childhood or in child development area. We need to start thinking, how can we start programming and designing our work around this, because children are already there. I'm gonna go this very fast. By 2050, we'll have 1 billion children. Let me tell you who those were. Our grandchildren. Amen? Okay? 1 billion. How are we designing the digital space to encourage right to play? How are we designing the digital world to support, play? For me, play supports all parts of development: physical, mental, cognitive, emotional, social. Yes, I actually have 2 slides, Teresa. I am done. I have 2 slides. So how does it support all parts of development? How can you ensure that digital play is also supported? In Africa, with our limited resources, how are we able to ensure that we are designing the digital world to support that? And here, I'm finishing this as a quote from a child from Kibera. They said, "The digital world is our school. This is where we go to learn." When a child says it's a school, what they mean is we go there to learn. How are we going to ensure that these play areas that we cannot get rid of? There's someone here from Nairobi County. Hi, how are you, madam? This is a reality. How can we ensure that these places are functional, they are safe for our children to be able to play? We are not saying close them, please. We are not saying close them. We're just saying make them functional, make them safe for our children to be able to enjoy their right to play in the digital world. I'm just going to leave this here. These are some of the games that are being translated into digital world. And then I'm going to stand here for a minute, okay? So these are some of the harms. What is standing in between ensuring that children enjoy their right to play in the digital world? Harms, okay? Oxea, 7 to 10% children in Africa have experienced online sexual exploitation of some form, okay? Dark patterns. In every game, there are 6 dark patterns. How are you going to ensure that these patterns, as we advocate for right to play, are we able to say that if children are going to play in the digital world, we have to ensure that there's safety by design, that they're designed with children in mind. And then there's language exclusion. Most of these games are either in English or French, not in local language, not Kikisi, okay? Not Kinyarwanda. It's not in our local language. How to ensure that these games are in our language. And in cultural representation. When my child goes online and play this game and they see something that is very off, they are depicting an African person in a very negative way. What does that do to the self-esteem of our children? Okay, or they define beauty in a particular way that does not look like us. What does that do to our children? Okay, so we need to be able to start advocating for that. And then infrastructure, again, madam from National Nairobi County, naomba tafadhali, can we increase the infrastructure that children can be able to access gadgets in schools, okay, early years? I know we say 0 to 2 no gadgets, and that's one thing I say, but how can we ensure that even those gadgets that children are accessing, they are safe, that the internet is accessible? Okay, for them to be able to learn. As I said, digital is not only for entertainment, it's also for learning. And this is what digital does. It helps to learn creativity, civic participation, and economic opportunities. So this is how it happens in Africa. These are the rules. If you have to design for African children, this is how we need to do. From individual user to community users. Because as Africans, in reality, we are Ubuntu, we are community. So we have to start designing games where we support community. I don't know what has happened. Oh, you guys can't see. I'm sorry. You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh, this thing has died.
This meeting is being recorded. Sure.
Eh?
So
Can you hear
perhaps-
me? Can you hear me? Oh, I'm not in the meeting. I'm back. Can you see my
Yes,
slides?
you're back.
Where did I stop?
We can see you. We can see you, and please, I'm inviting you to share your final thoughts.
I'm in the last slide, actually. So I'm just here. I'm in the last slide. So
If we can wrap up.
yeah. So I'm just going to see how
Next
what
2
needs.
minutes, that would be great.
Yeah. This is my last slide. So what needs to change? We start designing for community, ensuring that we are involving everybody, that children are not playing solo, because play is not supposed to be an individual thing. It's supposed to be a community, a societal thing. Okay? Let's silent algorithms. Let's have decisions on how these algorithms are used and they play for our children. And then instead of localization, cultural context, because a lot of these games are localized. Let's have cultural context. Instead of English, have multiple language. And then instead of data extraction, let's advocate for data sovereignty. And then I'm gonna skip that. And this is a play. We need to do this. We need to move from 2026 to 2030. We need to have changed how it is done. And I think I'm done, because kidole kimoja hakiwezi kuua chawa. Yeah, that is how I'm just saying. It's just been translated. Thank you so much for your engagement. Again, let's express ourselves playing. This is digital play, actually, what I'm doing with you, because you're expressing yourself using the digital means by clapping this. Okay, thank you so much, everybody.
More celebrations, please write in the chat box something unique you have learned from her presentation. Let us engage. I am seeing a very lively chat box with Kelvin looking forward to the 5th guest, with a quote from Lamine Yamal saying, "Every child deserves a childhood where play is possible." Thank you so much, Jennifer, for painting a very clear picture on what digital play looks like and how do our children get to interact with it, and for emphasizing that we need functional and safe digital spaces for children to play in. I am going to invite Miss Vivian back to continue with her submissions on what planning looks like with children in mind for the next 5 to 7 minutes. Please.
Yeah, I had just started by reminding us that the Urban Areas and Cities Act actually you can define a city by the number of population, which is 500,000, and about how densely populated Nairobi city is. And now it brings us to the issue of the resources, the available resources that we have. And if I can just add to that, the physical land use planning handbook gives us the requirements for sporting facilities. And for the playground, 0.5 hectares per 1,000 people. So you can do your calculation. And within that, it stipulates that you should reserve at least 0.15 hectares for children. Can you see me? Sorry, yeah. 0.15 hectares for children. And just to go give at least a 15-meter access road to that playground. I'm trying to create, to give you these figures for you to just create the image of how our city looks like. And now, in addition to that, you can now start seeing and the basic needs that our families have or really require. People doing businesses, trying to put food on the table. And this narrows down to the issues of encroachment, land grabbing, and issues of violation of the law for people to acquire some of these playgrounds that we have. I know that in our documents, departments, agencies, for example, like Kenya Railway, own a lot of properties. But we have challenges, the way I mentioned, in terms of land grabbing and all that. We know that are not well serviced in terms of even for, the open spaces, the play spaces. But all is not lost. We have programs which we are doing jointly. In terms of just redeveloping the city, trying to redeem what is ideal for the city. Issues of our master plan has proposed a few tools to use, planning tools like land readjustment. There are areas which have been earmarked for land readjustment. Those are spaces, those are tools you can use to redeem some of the things that you lost on the way. We have the eastern part of the city, the urban renewal, the Eastlands Urban Renewal Project that is ongoing. What you're seeing happening on the eastern part of the city. I know the focus is on housing, but there's if you read the urban renewal report, there's a lot to that. I know for housing is a big agenda, but even if you're doing the housing, the affordable housing, then we should focus on sustainable neighborhoods. We are partnering with the national government. We are beneficiaries of the Jeff 8 project. So we are so keen in developing or maybe developing sustainable neighborhoods. For example, in the Jeff 8, we have selected Kamkunji as a pilot site to demonstrate what we'd like. And of course, spaces for children just to play within the neighborhood is one of them. There's also the Kenya Urban Mobility Improvement Program. This is it's being spearheaded by the State Department of Transport in partnership with the World Bank. So the Nairobi County government being a beneficiary, they're also trying to tap into that support. We are talking about transport-oriented developments. We are talking about station area plans. The Kumi project is about the Kenya Railways Corporation improvement program along the railway line corridor. You realize that the Kenya Railways owns a big chunk of land. So we are trying to incorporate all these things as a sustainable corridor of transport. But in that, we are trying to incorporate what you're saying, play spaces, mobility, walkability, spaces that guardians, parents can sit and relate with the kids. We are at design stage, and we are so keen in terms of doing the station area plans, the transport-oriented developments. Of course, even if for those who have gone to cities that we feel that developed or they're doing well, we've seen if you're going to board your train, if you're going to the subways, you still have spaces whereby you can relax with your children as they play around, as they learn. So generally, issues of a sustainable neighborhood and issues of station area plans, transport-oriented developments will come with issues of proper sustainable waste management, issues to do with safety, and we are trying to really plan with the child in mind. What I came to learn during my research, I learned that a normal child is like 3 3 meters high, the height. So you can imagine the amount of irritation they get in our city, the dust, the spaces, like the way I said, planning handbook actually requires us to give 15-meter access to roads and playgrounds. You can imagine these kids not being able to access these play spaces. You can imagine how our roads are busy. So that is where we are heading to. We are working with academia, and on that last year we, as a county, the governor is spearheading the Early Childhood Transformative Program. The Early Childhood Transformative Program has 6 initiatives. So one of them is the nurturing care and early stimulation. The second one is child services. The third is play-based in pre-learning schools. There's a school feeding program, which is common. I'm sure you've heard a lot about school feeding program. There's outdoor play, the strategic communication. So in these strategic initiatives under the ECD Transformative Program, we are working, it is a multi-sectoral approach. So we have different sectors playing their bit. And for urban planning, we took the 5th strategic initiative, which is the outdoor play. So last year we developed a strategy for outdoor play, and the governor has committed to create spaces in every ward. A lot of money has been allocated by the partner Big Win Philanthropy, and yes,
I am going to invite you to share some of your final thoughts in the interest of time.
Yeah, let me just finalize. So yeah, so in this initiative, the governor has committed to develop spaces in each ward. And in each ward, we also realized that some wards don't have spaces, but just the way I had outlined before, we are also tapping into some of these programs that are being run by the national government to see if we can really relay what we would like to see in our cities. I think I'll end on that. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much. I think you have given us a very unique perspective on what our city looks like, and also reassured us in the hope that all is not lost when it comes to designing safe cities and sustainable neighborhoods for our children. I think we have a clear understanding on where to look and who to ask questions when it comes to outdoor play and where our children will feel safe in these cities. Amazing, amazing speeches across board. We are learning, we are refreshing our knowledge and getting new plans on how to ensure children get holistic development. And at this point, I am going to ask us to use the controls at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand if you have a question or a comment. Let us keep our questions or comments very brief because of time, and also to help our speakers respond very clearly. When you are selected, kindly unmute. Let us know who your question is addressed to, or if it is a comment that you want to share with us, then proceed to share. So, Lawrence, I am going to ask you to check out for who's raising their hand for either a question or a comment. Give me 2 to 3 people. Then we will have an interactive section. As we do that, I want to remind us that we have another segment in this call prepared for us by Mtoto News International, by SPAN and Kutunga Design Academy and Innovation Lab as part of our celebrations for the International Day of Play. So stay tuned and do not go anywhere. Do we have comments? Do we have questions? Lawrence, please let me know as As Lawrence gets to that, I can read some of your interactions in the chat box. Wendy Gechuki says a lot of work is needed around virtual or digital play, and since we can't wish these gadgets away, all stakeholders matter. Child engagement has to have the highest level of responsibility to ensure that play is safe. We have Oscar Kadenge, who thanks Planner Vivian for her thoughts on ECD and is excited about the planned 300 plus playgrounds for children in Nairobi. There is a site created here for us to visit and see what city planners have in mind for our children. Lawrence, any hands raised? I see Agnes has her hand up.
Thank you, Teresa, and thanks so much to all presenters. Very wonderful presentations. I think we have learned so much and also been sensitized on what we need to pay attention to, especially also on the digital play and AI, and also on what is happening in the space of education. And now, thanks, Vivian, for the update on what Nairobi County is doing. And my question is to you. Because as you said, most land has been grabbed and there are no play spaces. So what is government going to do to be able, because some of these spaces have now been constructed and you've given us the policy and for sure it has not been followed. What are we going to do? Because we are saying play is important, but where we are as a county, then I don't know what the county is doing about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Agnes, over to you, Vivian. The question was directed to you.
Yeah, we are well guided by the law on how to handle public land. And there's a consultative forum, which is composed of various cabinet secretaries, including our own county consultative forum. So in case issues are raised on any developmental issue, it is handled with this consultative forum. I know it is a sensitive matter and at times it takes long, but based on experience and in my position, one day, one time, we'll be able to recover these things. But in addition to that, what I say, we are really tapping into the ongoing projects, the ongoing programs. And we have so many published plans, projects that have been developed in conjunction with both governments. So with the National Land Commission being keen on what we are doing on our resources and also giving updates on reports, I wish you could also visit the site, plus even the Council of Governors. There's a lot of efforts being done to recover these spaces. Over and above, we cannot stop just because we've lost a space, but we are also trying to look at other low-lying opportunities. For example, using the city as the canvas. We have using the city as canvas. We are encouraging partners in the neighborhoods to identify spaces that children can relate with, and also come up with small initiatives that we can allow children to use. Over and above, we're also trying, for example, mobility and walkability. We are also we are doing master plan for mobility and walkability, trying to connect these spaces whereby guardians and children can also move freely and connect these spaces. I know it might take time to realize, to see what has been done, because most of the things are on the paper and the works is just ongoing. But the main thing is that with the right political will, political, what do I say, support, I think we'll move to the right direction.
Thank you so much for that succinct response and for indulging with our questions, Planner Vivian. At this juncture, I want to remind us we're almost coming to the end of our conversation for the day, but we are not done with the program. So two things are going to happen. One, I am going to encourage us, if you can and if you're comfortable, please turn on your videos, and Lawrence, who is our host of the controls, is going to take us a few pictures or a few screenshots. So when we are ready, please turn on your videos, smile at us. Then on the count of 3, you're going to wave and say right to play. And I'm going to count us down. If you can, turn on your video. Please give us a bright smile. I want to see people's pictures. Amazing, amazing.
We start with you, Teresa.
Oh, my video is not on.
It's not.
Sorry about
Okay,
that.
now it is.
Great. Amazing. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, right to play. On a count of 3, say right to wave at the screen and say right to play. Great. Thank you. I love seeing a lively and a playful audience. Asanteni sana. That was the first thing. The second thing, we have an amazing segment that has been organized for us by Mtoto News International, by SPAN and Kutunga Design Academy and Innovation Labs as part of our celebrations for the International Day of Play. And as we transition to that segment, I want to once again thank our hosts, Alistat Africa, together with the Ministries of Health and Education in Kenya, and our various partners represented here today. That is UNICEF, Mtoto News International, the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, ECD Network for Kenya, the International Child Resource Institute, Kutunga Design Academy and Innovations Lab, Nyota Care, and SPAN for bringing us together on this webinar. And at this moment, I want to invite again the founder and executive director of Alistat Africa to share with us a call to action and also a vote of thanks while ushering us to the next segment of this program. Welcome again, Leonard.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Amazing work you've done. You guys, Teresa Lodge is on sale. If you would like to get an events moderator, she's here for you. So you can reach out. Again, thank you very much to all of you who do the actual work of supporting play with your children, grandchildren, or children in your lives. We appreciate the team of partners that have been listed who put this together, and our presenters for engaging and challenging us to play, to place play at the center of our children's development. To the centers and institutions that brought live coverage, we commend you for what you are modeling for play in learning and development. Thank you, Philet, one of our parents, for speaking on behalf of all the other parents and all the webinar participants. We know that your participation here today is a single visible show of commitment to the right to play. We know that you don't just come here for fun, you come here to show solidarity. So keep fighting for play at all costs. We will be sharing an ambitious framework to rally like-minded individuals, governments, and organizations behind the Play Collective Consortium. And we also propose a partnership to bring together play practitioners and advocates to a 1 to 2 day play convening ahead of the next 2027 International Day of Play. Before we hand this over to our colleagues at Mtoto News for the second phase, Oscar Kadenge is here, who is representing one of our valued partners. I'd just like him to give a 1 sentence, 2 sentence final remarks as we conclude this. Oscar, sorry for ambushing you.
Thank you very much, Leonard. I take this opportunity to just commend you for making it possible for us to come together. Early Start are a key partner to the network and also prime movers of play within the early childhood development space. Excited about the work that you're doing and reminding us also that in every adult there's a child who wants to play. So thank you very much, and excited about the plans that you have to move this conversation forward. Asante.
Thank you very much, Oscar. So from here, you're welcome to stay. You can listen in, watching at work, at home, or whatever you do. But remember to play. Today is International Day of Play. Play in the office, play at work, play at home. Don't play on the road. And if you're driving, don't play. But when you arrive, play. So I hand over now to Wambere Nyaga, who will take us over from here. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Bye-bye for now. Wambere.
Recording has stopped.
Founder of Kutunga. She's a child development specialist with over 20 years of experience and with a passion for children. She also has she's also a published author, and she has published a book by the name Gear Model for Child Participation, and also 2 research papers focusing on children's experiences with generative AI in Kenya, and also the TFGBV on children, adolescents
This
in
meeting
Kenya.
is being recorded.
So she has taken us through one of the parts that we were supposed to have, which is designing for the child who looks like us. And we have gotten a good insight on, what designing for kids looks like. And now for the next segment, or the next person to come on is Farida, who is take us through the safe spaces. Farida is from Kutunga Design Academy and Innovation, and will bring a powerful lens on how we create environment where children feel safe and seen and supported. She will be speaking on safety by design. Farida, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Wendy, for that. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Farida Tay, and I'm the. So my name is Farida. Yeah, sorry about that. So my name is Farida Tay. I'm from Kutunga Design. I'm the technical and the business sustainability manager. So today I'm going to take you through safety by design. Yeah. So I can start by asking you, whenever I say safety by design, what clicks your mind? Can I have one participant to answer that and then continue? Thank you. What do you understand by the term safety by design? You can as well type in the chat box. maybe if I can I hear from Sylvia, what do you understand by the term safety by design? Sylvia?
Yeah, so I will say that safety by design is ensuring that we design with kids in mind, and that's why at Kutunga we train software developers, engineers, and tech enthusiasts on how to create products with children in mind. As we all know that nowadays kids consume content that is not appropriate for their age, and hence exposing them to digital harms like cyberbullying, grooming, and which is not right. Yeah, so I might pose another question. What do you think are some of the examples of these harms that children go through also, and what can we do about it? Can I hear from someone? Oscar?
Please repeat your question again. Sorry, I missed the part about.
Okay, I was asking what are some of the digital harms that children undergo, yeah, and what can we do about it?
I think you've already mentioned a couple the aspects of grooming, which then lead them to being exploited by either adults or their peers. That would be one big one that I find when children are not in a safe space online.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Yeah, so which brings us to why safety by design matters. So this one, the children may not recognize risks as adults do. So we all know these children, they are being exposed to these harms without them knowing. So the mistake is with us adults, like for example, the developers and the people who design for children. They usually design softwares which are not child-friendly. So these children end up interacting with those products, hence exposing them to digital harms that we had mentioned earlier. Also, these children depend on adults and institutions for protection. So yes, children depend on us for protection. So ensure that you are a trusted adult. Yeah, whenever a child walks to you and have a chat with you, ensure that you are a trusted adult, the person who they can trust in case of anything. Yeah. Let not a child go and discuss with someone else outside and you are there, which is not a good thing. We should create a very good environment for these children to thrive. Also, they have rights that must be respected and protected. Yeah. So as we all know that children should not bear the burden of staying safe. Systems should be designed to protect them. Okay. Yeah. So. Which brings us to the core principle. So, okay, yeah, so yeah. So I want us to discuss some of the questions here. So how can organizations identify risks before harm occurs? Yes, how can organizations identify risks before harm occurs? Can I hear from one of you? Leonard, maybe if you can try that. How can organizations identify risks before harm occurs?
I think, Farida, I would say, if we are trained, and I know that's an area of need, capacity building to
be able to take note or identify signs and symptoms of risks. And we can do that by what has already happened, but we can best do by what we know has happened elsewhere. So there could be things like flooding. Nairobi, we've already had experiences of flooding, so we don't need to wait for another flood to know that it's harmful for children. We've been discussing about kidnapping and cases of missing children. So there are risks like that. In this conversation, we've talked about safety in the public spaces, crossing the road. Most of us have been talking about children going to school as early as 5 a.m., and the risks associated with that physically, mentally, and, just health in general. So I think we have opportunities to recognize risks in advance that can really help us either to put policies in place or build capacity within our teams and our communities to be able to take action in good time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leonard, for that. So that one was for us, for the organizations. And also I'm going to pose another last question. So what do you think that the government should do? Yeah, so what role should government, civil society, school, and families play as well? So mostly, let me phrase it like, what do you think government should do in that matter? So let me try and find someone. Kelvin, what do you think that the government should do to ensure that these children are safe also? Because for us to enable that we have a good product for children, it's a shared responsibility, right? So we had already discussed for the organization. Now we are looking into the government. Or maybe if I pose it to Wambere. Anyone else who wants to try?
Well, I think that the way that government can help is that what they can do is that you actually start awareness campaigns. The first is like knowledge and sharing the wisdom to people, telling them, okay, this is what happens and this is how you can actually take with it. So I think an awareness, like raising awareness campaigns, like educating people about these issues really helps a lot. You can even see when it comes to natural disasters, as was said, that, when a flood happens, there needs to be like early warning signs for these things. So for even in situations like this, when you have awareness and you you let people know, you educate people about these issues, I think that will help, like in the larger scheme, in how to tackle them, in how to identify them, and how to deal with them in a way.
Yeah, thank you very much. Kelvin has said also the government should be able to offer education, which I agree on that. So I want to say protecting children, it's our shared responsibility. Yeah, so we should work hand in hand. And also those people who are creating these softwares right now, these children access the digital world at a very tender age. So it's very, very important for us to create, take solutions with children in mind so that we don't expose them to digital harms. Yeah, so the key takeaway is simple. Protecting children should not be an afterthought. It should be built into everything we design and deliver, yeah? So the safest environment for a child is not one that responds well to harm, but one that is designed to prevent harm from occurring in the first place. Okay, thank you very much for having me. Back to you, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Farida, for grounding us in the importance of intentional and safe designing, especially on this day, as significant as it is, when we ask ourselves what it truly means to design for children, with children at the center of this. So before we move on to the next speaker, allow me to acknowledge the incredible people
It sounds like
who have
Homer.
joined us physically here at Totonis International Headquarters.
How was it?
And now, our next speaker will take us to safety by child-centered, Afrocentric play. And we're going to have Hera, who is the head of learning and creative expression at Totonis International. She's so passionate about child safeguarding. And she's going to close this segment. And yeah, she's going to close this segment where she's going to be telling us why young people are not just supposed to be participants, but also storytellers of their own stories when it comes to play. Mora, take it away.
Hello. Okay. Hello, everyone. How are we doing? We've been talking about play, but I know we've just been seated. So where you're at, I would like you to, feel your body, okay? So let's go. This is my head, everyone. This is my head. Touch your head wherever you are. I am trusting that wherever you are touching your head. So you better be touching your head. So this is my head. These are my eyes. Okay. So these are my shoulders. Feel your shoulders. Okay, there we go. One more time. Let's go. This is my head. These are my eyes. This is my nose. These are my cheeks. These are my shoulders. This is my head. These are my eyes. This is my nose. These are my shoulders. My shoulders. I see you. Hi, everyone. My name is Mora, and I love to play. That's just basically what I'd want to say. But how I think about it is not just for children. Everyone needs to play. For you to have children around you who are playing, you have to be a playing adult. That's what I'd like to think. You have to be the adult who facilitates to some extent the play. If you're a teacher, if you're working with kids, even if you're in government and you're saying like we want to have child participation and we want to have kids over, and then you're there in suits and all serious and like protocol. Protocol is important, of course, but like it's child friendliness. So in this session, I want to talk about child friendliness and Jennifer talked a bit about being Afrocentric, so also getting into that, right? So in terms of child friendliness, child-centeredness, what does that mean? We are looking at the unique, okay? The unique interest and voices and agency of children. So when we're talking about child-centeredness, think about the children who are living with special needs, children with disabilities. So this is in specific unique needs. If you're working in terms of programming and projects, if you're working in the rural areas, if you're working in urban areas, the needs of the child, the unique needs of the child have to be put into consideration. Okay, and their interests, different children have different interests. If you want to make the play interesting, come on. If a child loves music, make music the way of play. If they love colors, make colors the way of play. So addressing these needs is very important, right? And their voices and agency. Child participation is very important. Okay, that's how they create, that's how they build. And that is mainstreaming. Child-centeredness is mainstreaming unique needs, interests, voices, agency into learning, into care, into programming, into anything that you do. You put you center the child. You center the child. And then Afrocentric. That's all about placing African history, placing African culture and our worldviews as Africans into play. Right? When we talk about Ubuntu, when we talk about Sankofa, Ubuntu is about coming together, right? And I remember whenever we'd play in school, we would all be in a circle, 1, 2. Come on, sing it with me wherever you are. I know you want to. 1, 2. Make a circle. 3, 4. A big circle like a wati, like a sufuria in the kitchen. So that is African sadness. We talked about the things that are close to us, our stories, what we see, right? And for me, that's what it's all about, the coming together, the Ubuntu of it all, and also talking about our realities, the realities of African children, right? And so now to talk about SPAN again, I think I just ran with it, so I'm gonna go back a little bit. My name is Mora, and I'm in charge of child creativity at Total News in terms of Total Creatives, which is a movement of child creators, child who are developing content, children who are musicians, artists in every other way. I'm an artist myself, and so I really enjoy doing this and also learning, and that is where SPAN comes in. I know, was it Loche? Was it? Yeah. Said SPAN, we call it SPAN here, Student Press Action Network, and it's all about going to schools and training children on journalism. So it's training journalism clubs and developing confident storytellers, and using photography, using stories, written stories. So we put them in our magazine. We put them through the school magazines. So we train them on how to write stories, the school magazines, and we also have a magazine here at Total News. We call it the Shajara magazine. So we have the stories so children get to tell their own stories. And then we have the SPAN show where children submit their different, children make content and then they submit their content and then we put them out. And then we have digital storytelling sprints where hands-on creation with smartphones and cameras and tools, and they become the tools of play in that moment, right? And so that's what SPAN is about. It's digital storytelling. And fortunately enough, we were able to get authorization from the Ministry of Education to visit schools. So we have a network of schools that we work with, and we train them around journalism and storytelling. And to just to add, it's all about getting the children voices in our programming, in whatever else we do. Maybe just to give an example, as in Total News, because SPAN is part of Total News. It's a program under Total News. One of the ways we engage children in child participation and play is, you have this huge concept. You want to talk about budgeting. You want to talk about their rights, okay? But how do you break this down in a way that children can take it? You can't just go about with the big numbers and everything. So what we did in one of the trainings, and this cuts across SPAN and every other training that we do, we had children, we gave children paper money, okay? So this is play in programming. So if you work in programs or in any other sector where you are training children or capacity building them in one way or another, think about this, and think about this very, I would say, deeply, okay? So during the budget session, we had children given paper money, and then we had like some sort of baskets where we said, we want you to tell us, because it's child participation, we want you to tell us, what do you think budgeting is and how should we budget for our country? Because now these voices are taken and interpreted in a way that would influence policy, right? So this is education. I will explain. You go to school, right? And this is what happens to school. You need books, you need school desks and all this, and material, right? And this is healthcare, and this is what. So we want children voices to see where do children want most money to go, right? And so we'd ask, so if you had all this money, so we give them paper money. If you had all this money, how would you put the money? Which basket do you want the most money to go to? So some children would put like 5 papers, like they look like, 5 square papers in maybe healthcare, because, and they say, so you see, for us, this is what I think this is important, because in our school, we don't have books and we want more books. So I want more money to go to this basket. So that is play in practice in that session, okay? Yeah, so also just thinking about play, they're building their own world, they're making sense of their feelings, and they're boosting the brain. And I think this is a conversation that most of us have had in this session. So their cognitive, physical, emotional, and social development is happening as they play. So just to add on to something that I may not have heard some of the speakers talk about is think about colors and texture. Okay, use what is available, because Africanness also is about using what is within you, using the resources that is within you. Use what is available, bring spontaneity, okay, and creation of stories, right? So because Africanness is also about storytelling. So in summary, child-centeredness is building your world, okay, to put the child at the center. And in terms of Afrocentric, centering Ubuntu, that is togetherness, centering Sankofa, where we return to what we know and build from that. And then that therapeutic mirror, where play is how children see themselves reflected and understood. So when we play these games, reflect the realities of the children. And co-creation, where there's agency and there's agency and voice of the child. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope whatever we've talked about is something that we can apply, right? We can apply in our work. So if you're training, if you're doing anything around children, how do you incorporate play into whatever else you're doing? Okay, thank you very much, Wendy. And I'll just go on to the next segment because I know it's about pledging, and I want to see, because we talked about putting mainstreaming play in our programs, So in the chat box, tell me, how are you going to incorporate play in whatever else you do? Let's give our pledges, and I will be looking in the chat box. How are we going to mainstream play in our programs? Anyone? Please go right ahead if you feel like unmuting and speaking, or if you want to. How are we going to mainstream play to center the child and to make it Afrocentric as well? Okay, so Jacqueline says they'll be linking with KICD to train preschool teachers on play-based pedagogy skills. Amazing, thank you, Jacqueline. Yeah, so think about it. So yes, Leonard. Okay. Yeah, so thank you for joining. I hope even if you didn't say it out loud, in your own way, you've been thinking about how to mainstream play in the work you do and make it child-centered, looking at the agency, looking at the needs of the child. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Wendy. I'll take it back to you. And please remember to play in whatever you do in your work. Remember to incorporate play. Asante sana. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mora. I already feel like I want to go to a field and play, but I think now I'll just play with colors in the office. Thank you for the insightful engagement. And as we come to a close, I would want first to thank so much the audience who are with us virtually. We are grateful for the beautiful diversity of thoughts and contribution in this room. Before we wind up, I would love to welcome back Doris. I would like to welcome back Farida, and also she will be joined by Doris. Take it from Farida and Doris. Thank you.
Yes.
Farida, Doris.
Hello.
Kindly, the floor is yours.
Hello. Happy International Day of Play. I am happy and I'm excited and I'm great that Mora was talking about color and using resources that are available with you. So I'm here to share some things. When you think about play, physical play, you don't need toys. You don't have to think about what is it we're going to use. Let's work with what we have at home. Something as simple as a roll like this. Very simple. An old hat, a child's hat. a funnel. When you're out shopping, think of the little kids, something like this. These are all items that you could give children ages 3 and above, maybe 12, 3 to 12, and observe them as they engage with them. You will have color, you have texture, you talk about it. You will have old containers like this, clean them up. So again, when you talk about safety in the physical space as an adult, what can you do? Before you give your child a container like this, please clean it and let the child know which containers they can use, because something can look like water in a bottle, but it's kerosene. A child won't be able to distinguish the smell. So use the resources around you in Kenya, in our Pan-African community, in the global South. Use the resources around you. There's a little ball here with textures, little balls. Let them feel things. Somewhere in my bag, I believe I had cob. What are they called? When you remove the cob, when you remove the maize and the things that are left? Yes, they are somewhere. But again, those are items that a child can use to feel, and you discuss texture. I love to collect hats. So again, leave them with the little children and let the imagination run wild. As an adult, you supervise, but you must plan ahead. And also go the extra mile if you can. Provide them with paper with colors. You have your normal paper you could use. If you've had old documents, they can use the other side. You can use cardboard. You can use fabric as well. Be creative with your children ages 3 to 12. Promote play, promote Afrocentric solutions to creating toys, and have fun with your children. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone, for that. Doris,
Yes.
thank you very much for that presentation. I want to remind you that we should design with children in mind. And with that said, at Kutunga, we usually have our training where we train people on how to create these digital solutions with children in mind. Yeah. So so please join us, and you'll be able to meet our amazing and qualified facilitators across the globe. Thank you very much.
Happy International Day of Play.
Thank you so much, Doris and Farida, for that beautiful presentation you've done there. Look at that, how play is simple and fun. Today is International Day of Play, and we say all work and no play makes. Mora, Doris, Wendy, and you, a dull person. So let's play with our kids, our colleagues, and thank you, Doris. I will play today in the office.
Excellent.
So I would like to thank, as we close now, thank you, Doris. As we close now, I would like to thank all the speakers for such rich and thoughtful, provoking contributions, and our audience for being part of this important conversation. Thank you all. I would now invite Glory Ngata to lead us in a closing prayer before we break for lunch. Amen and amen. Thank you everyone for being part of this important conversation, and happy International Day of Play. Thank you.
The only thing I'm concerned about is this thinner. Okay, yeah, okay. And then something as simple as just a little zipper. Yeah.
All right, so if you're watching us from YouTube, thank you for joining us. Happy International Day of Play. Go out and play. Bye.
The recording has stopped.
Okay. Thank you.
if you can drop us a comment, a message on how you are going to, participate.